Well, the draft may be over, but NBA free agency right around the corner. It officially begins Monday, 6 Eastern, and we'll have our NBA Today free agency specials Monday and Tuesday, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. There should be a ton of movement. We're going to break it all down. 2 hours on Monday, 3 hours on Tuesday. Brian will be with us. Bobby will be with us. Bob J, if you want to sign up for 5 more hours of TV, you are welcome to stop by. We've already seen here plenty of movement, Brian. Of course, Kevin Durant traded from Phoenix to Houston. That happened on the same day as Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And then a little bit more surprisingly, we were wondering what the Boston Celtics were going to do in the wake of the Jason Tatum injury. Drew Holiday gone. Kristaps Porzingis traded to Atlanta, and then CJ McCollum traded from New Orleans to Washington on Tuesday. Let's start with the Boston Celtics and filter our way down here, Brian. What do you make of the moves that they are choosing here?
It was not surprising, unfortunately. When Jason Tatum got hurt, they were facing a payroll that Bobby was calculating for us over the recent months. It was topping $500 million. And to illustrate how penal the tax situation that they were in, they only traded 2 players. One like they traded 9 players. And one of the players they got back a significant salary in Anthony Simons for. Porzingis was pretty much a straight cash job. In just trading those 2 players, they saved over $200 million. So that just tells you how fragile their situation was. And so the big question is, are the Celtics done? Or are the Celtics looking to cut more salary? They can, I think, Bob, $16-17 million over the tax?
About 15 and a half, yeah.
Yeah, and so there could be more moves to get under the tax. And as the Celtics have taken their team apart a little bit, these East teams that are around them have been emboldened. And I think we're seeing the Magic feel good about their position, and we see the Hawks are actually a very interesting team. They finished in the play-in this last year. They watched the unfortunate injury to Jason Tatum. They watched the unfortunate injury to Damian Lillard. They watched the unfortunate injury to Tyrese Halliburton. And then they see an opportunity that they can move up. So they go get Kristaps Porzingis. They have how big is the trade exception, Bobby?
25.3.
And I think they intend to use some or all of it. So the Hawks are a team that is reacting to their situation. I think we're going to hear the Hawks more from the Hawks in the coming days.
I think, Brian, and this is a question for Bob, too, they did the right moves as far as getting under the second apron. Has much money they saved just based on how punitive and with the Tatum injury and where this roster was going. My only concern is if another move is what's left of the roster when Jason Tatum does come back from this injury in 2026, and you're looking at Jaylen Brown and Derek White, because the goal is to continue putting a competitive championship-level team around Jason Tatum. And those 2 guys are, Bob, those guys, those top 25 players are hard to go out and get.
That's a tightrope you're walking, because you understand without Tatum, you're being honest, and as harsh as it is, it's not going to be their year. And I'm assuming he doesn't come back, so they're assuming that, it looks like. But then you can't just say, we're going to get rid of all our players, and then he comes back and looks around and goes, what are we doing? Because he's still making a ton of money. Jaylen Brown's making money. Derek White's one of the most coveted players in the league. So at some point you have to say, we're going to try this year, and we're going to preserve the option to come back, because that is not an old team. That Celtic team is not an old team. And Drew Holiday, one of their older players, is not there. Porzingis, not an old guy. They had to move on from him. So they still have 3 fantastic players in their prime, and you have to protect that. That's why you can't go so far in gutting your team.
Well, Drew Holiday was traded to the Portland Trailblazers at one point before as well, and now this is kind of coming to fruition. On the other side, the Atlanta Hawks, Tyrese Halliburton told me they didn't want to be the Atlanta Hawks, a mirage from 2021. They wanted to prove it again and again. Atlanta, it may be your turn now. We're about to enter a busy offseason, Brian, and it begs the question for a lot of teams to extend or not extend several stars here. I got a list. I'm checking it twice. Let's start with the champion, shall we? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
I would extend him. That's my expert analysis. The question is, will he want the entire amount, or could they get him to take a little haircut to see if they can keep their team together? They may try that same thing with their other guys, Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams. They tried that with James Harden a few years ago. It didn't go so well, so we'll see how that goes.
He always keeps his braids tight, but I think you could convince him maybe to take a little haircut to keep that team together. How about Luka Doncic?
So he can't extend until August 2nd. However, over the next month, really even less, over the next week or two, Lakers need to do some things with their roster. Would be nice to get Luka a center and a rim runner who he really excels along with. It'll be sort of a referendum on where Luka feels about the Lakers and their direction. If he extends, he has given no indication that he will not. However, there is a sense of mystery until he does.
How about Nikola Jokic?
So this is an interesting one. He has 3 years left on his contract. No pressure, you would think. However, things haven't been going so great for the Nuggets the last 2 years as they've lost players off their roster and the ownership has been careful on spending. Owner Josh Kroenke just said a couple of days ago that they are going to offer him the max this year, which is a couple of years extension, but he isn't sure he's going to sign it. Not because of anything to do with the team, but because he can get more money by waiting. However, if he doesn't sign it, it's something for the team to reevaluate with.
Yeah, 3 for 212 is the Jokic number. And listen, he came out after the playoffs and said, we need to get depth. Now we're going to see how Denver goes about doing it.
It was just about as far, Jay, as we've heard Nikola Jokic go and saying, well, we're not a championship team, and clearly we need a little bit more.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a frustrating season last year. They were bumping up on the play-in with 3 games left, won their last 3 after Michael Malone was let go. But can you imagine not having Nikola Jokic on the Nuggets? It's hard for me to imagine.
He's been an absolute no-drama, all-delivery superstar to this point.
And I love the to this point. Whenever it comes with a Brian Fleury, it's something to pay attention to. How about Devin Booker? The Suns in a little bit of a transition phase.
Well, Devin Booker was active in their head coaching search. He was active in some of their other decisions, including Kevin Durant trade, and I think he will be active in signing a 2-year record extension, Bobby. I think it's something like 150.
Two for 150, Bob. And remember when the salary cap used to be $75 million? That's Devin Booker's first salary in 1 year.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
2 for 150. All right, so that's what Devin Booker could be looking at as they've started really that rebuild process. They're not a full rebuild, but rebuilding around Devin Booker. On the other side of this, Monica McNutt, she's going to join us. It's been an emotional last 2 days here at the NBA draft. Jay, you've put this into perspective. I don't know that we've seen more tears, more joy, certainly at times, than we saw in this NBA draft.
It was remarkable. And I think overall, that's what I'm going to remember from this draft is how emotional it was. All the tears and as you say, Malika, tears of joy. But come on, Malawatch, all the different stories. It was really a fun 2 days of the NBA draft.
It was. And to see the parents, I think, too, and the pop-pops of these young men celebrate in this accomplishment with them. And our Monica McNutt was there for so many of these moments. Monica, you were the person asking the questions that elicited this emotion. You did a fantastic job here over the last 2 days. As you look back on this draft, what are you going to take away from the interactions that you had with these young men?
Golly, Malika, it is so special to be a part of a life-changing moment, a dream come true for these young men. I think, to me, in talking to these folks, their confidence in understanding that the next step is not going to be easy, I think is what I appreciated. And sure, we had some sound bites where the confidence resonated, but I think these young people, these young men, in fact, are very honest about the next step in terms of they have to continue to dig in. And this is truly just a glorious and worthy of celebrating, but a beginning indeed.
And this is why you are so very good at what you do, because of the range of emotions that we heard these young men display. Because yes, at times we heard from some of the more confident players, even maybe an Ace Bailey saying, you know what, I know this is where I am supposed to be. But then also the tears that were shed, all of that is good, expected, and what this moment should really be about. Monica's got like 11 jobs, guys, and one of them is covering the New York Knicks. Your videos, by the way, calling the final shots of games, one of my favorite things to look forward to in the NBA season. We got a busy offseason coming. What are you looking for from New York?
Well, we got to get a head coach. The Knicks have to get a head coach. That's step one. But I think, at least as I've checked in with folks, they are going through the process. And I know it seems a little bit frustrating in terms of you let go of head coach Tom Thibodeau, who had done a fantastic job, and you don't seemingly have a plan. They're going to continue to go through the process. And I do think, if anything, this organization in the last couple of seasons has earned a little bit of respect in terms of the moves that Leon Rose has had to make. I'm not saying that you don't get a chance to scratch your head a little bit, but I think you're going to have to be patient, and they're going to make this hire, they believe that will be the best fit.
Monica, patience in New York City is what you are asking for, but it's certainly something that we can aspire to. Jay, this is your 23rd NBA draft, is that right?
You have to keep bringing that up.
23rd NBA draft. It's pretty special that you have been here. I'm not calling you old, but can you just sum up the last couple of days and the message to these young men now that they're taking their first steps into their NBA career?
Well, they know what they're getting into, to Monica's point. It's just really fun to watch these guys take this next step, and it's a huge step, and they're stepping into the best league in the world and the best basketball in the world. I can't wait to watch Summer League coming up.
Well, I've gotten to sit next to the best colleagues in the world the last couple of days. On behalf of our entire NBA draft staff here at ESPN, thank you so much for spending the last 2 days with us. Coming us next, it's Scott Van Pelt Sports Center on ESPN. Good night, and thank you for watching.